I was wondering how to follow Mark, because it's a little bit of a difficulty, because I'm the automatic anticlimax. And I said to my son, what do you think I should do? And he said, well, tell a couple of jokes. The only thing being, I only know 2 jokes, and one of them's the Professional Association of Teachers. Now, of course, you're probably aware that the PAT have now renamed themselves. They're now called Voice. I think it's a fantastic name for them, because if you listen carefully, you can hear the hidden bracket at the end of it, Voice in the Wilderness. It was actually originally going to be Voices, except that they thought about it and realised actually they'd have to double their membership to get the plural. Colleagues, in Leicester, we haven't just been fighting about pay, because the big issue here for the last 6 months has been privatisation, as Mark was saying. Because last October, the government told us they wanted to actually outsource all of the schools in the city, hand them over to some well-meaning group of capitalist profiteers like Capita, who managed to screw up the passport system, the CRB checks, the whole thing. Now, we could have taken the usual trade union stance, gone and wandered outside New Walk Centre with placards saying no, 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 and been completely ignored. But we didn't do that. What we did was we set up a campaign called Support Our Schools. We got every single public sector union in Leicester to join that campaign. We got the governors to join that campaign. We got the Education Forum, the Social Forum, absolutely everybody to join that campaign. And we had 2 key aims. Firstly, that we would have a say on what happens to education in Leicester. That education in Leicester, they're our schools, and we want to say what happens. And secondly, that the council is going to talk to us in public about that. Now, I remember last November when we first suggested it to the council, the laughter you could hear in the background. Talk to you? Yeah, come on. We don't even consult you. Last week, we had a public meeting with speakers from the DCSF, the chief executive of the council, the leader of the action plan for Leicester, and also from our campaign. 150 people, and they had no choice but to be there, because we have practiced collectivism. That's what trade unions are all about, collectivism. And what we've put to them is that the solution to any underachievement in schools in Leicester isn't privatisation, it's not fragmentation through more academies, trust schools, and all this nonsense which means that the poor pie maker runs the blooming school. What we've said is we want collaboration, cooperation, and sharing between teachers right the way across the city, where we take the best practice of our own colleagues and we share in it. We learn from each other and we replicate that across the city. And I have to say, it's delightful to watch the politicians, the civil servants of the DCSF, looking bemused as we promote this, and more bits of it get incorporated into the Leicester Action Plan. So far, we have actually got into the Action Plan half of the original programme we had, so of course we're now adding to our programme for what we want. And because we were united, because we brought together our colleagues in the other public sector unions, they've already said outsourcing is off the agenda for 2 years. Because, as the DCSF said at the meeting last week, what they've encountered in Leicester is a rare community spirit built around schools. And what we're going to do is we're going to put a Chinese wall around our schools so that there will not be privatisation, there will not be academies, and there will not be trust schools. Colleagues, this will be a collective achievement. It's worked for by NUT, it's worked for by our colleagues in the other unions, it's worked for by our colleagues in the Education Forum. And it sets a blueprint for an alternative way of dealing with the development of education, the development of health, the development of other public services. Not privatisation, not fragmentation, not PFI, but community control and collaboration. We want the people of Leicester to decide on what kind of schools they want, and that includes all of us in the education community. We want the people of Leicester to decide what kind of hospitals they have, what services they provide, and how they will be provided. And that is the strength of collectivism, because individually we may not be very strong, but united we are enormously powerful. We've seen that today. Thank you to everybody who's come today. Well done. Give yourselves a round of applause, and let's move on to the next stage of the campaign.